Hi, and welcome back Till Death Do Us Watch Party, featuring Amber and Lance.
Hi.
Today, we're continuing on our journey of The Legend of Vox Machina, Season 2, this time with Episode 2. This one's called The Trials of Vasselheim.
Dun dun dun.
And just like last time, we're going to get right into things. So if you've not watched Legend of Vox Machina Season 2, Episode 2, I recommend stopping this video right now, going to watch it over on Amazon, and coming back here. If you're all current, or you don't mind spoilers, stick around, and let's have a listen.
Yep.
So Lance, if you aren't paying too close attention, you might not have noticed that apparently Keyleth didn't get a good description of that tree when they were leaving Whitestone.
Well, I thought that the rule was you had to be familiar with it. It's just like you can't...
And then Keyleth told her that was the rule. But Keeper Yemen really misled her with that, don't you think?
Well, yeah, but it's like, literally, it's like, okay, we need to go to China right now. And it's like, okay, there's a tree in China. It's 5 foot tall.
Yeah,
it's got leaves. I think it's a dogwood.
I mean, I think we should be thankful that they got there at all, let alone falling out of a tree that was like growing out the side of a cliff.
I mean, it was amusing. Don't get me wrong.
I think you just found it amusing because Percy and Scanlan and then Grog and Trinket all fell on a giant pink butt.
Yeah, good thing these titties were here. I love Grog. I can't help myself. But yeah, anyways.
So we had that, and then okay, they're at least real close to Vasselheim. So short walk. They're at the front gate, and Percy's just like, let him handle this because Percy, he's got all that cred to get him in. So he walks up to that guard. He gives him the full name drop. I can't do it justice, so I'm not about to attempt it. And the guard just didn't care. Kind of deflated poor Percy's ego.
My name's Travis, and I want a sandwich, or whatever the hell his name was.
It was Rob.
Rob. Yeah, my name's Rob, and I want a sandwich. I thought that was funny. That was pretty good.
So he does give them directions into the city on where they can find the people that they need to talk to. I think they call them the Dawn Marshals. And as they're heading to the main building for that, you kind of get an overview of some of the other major temples that inhabit Vasselheim, because Vasselheim is a city ruled by the religions of Exandria. So all of the major religions of the prime deities, at least, all seem to have representation of some form. And I think there's a couple of Easter eggs in there for other seasons. Whether or not that pink-haired fellow in front of the Wild Mother Temple was in fact Caduceus Clay, I don't think it was. But it's still a nice nod. It could be a family member, perhaps.
Don't know, but I love the name Caduceus. Good on you for coming up with that, buddy.
But, so, they head off to the Dawn Marshals, and the Dawn Marshals are like, oh, well, let's the water tell us what happened in Amon.
The water will reveal the truth.
And the water did reveal the truth, and they're like, nah, mate, we got some walls. We ain't gonna mess with that stuff.
Good things dragons just walk.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
And they can't fly great distances from, say, Amon to Vasselheim. It's not like, it's on a different planet. It's still the same world. So they get ejected, but one of the guys who was listening in to their plea, well, he's like, hey, guys, I know who you need to go talk to. You need to talk to the Slayer's Take. And, if you're familiar with Campaign 1, that's not the first time you've heard that. And as a matter of fact, in the actual campaign, the cast members have already participated with the Slayer's Take, so they don't need this introduction. But streamlining the campaign a bit to make it a little bit more cinematic, revise it, reduce some of the characters. They've combined that this is the first time that the whole party has joined in on a Slayer's Take visit, which is cool. I didn't mind that. But it's one of the changes. So they go to head off, but Grog soon gets separated for strange reasons. It seems he's hearing voices. I wonder what that could be.
He wants to get drunk.
So the rest of the party, minus Grog, head off there, and Grog wanders off, has a nice drink, and then stumbles across a temple that's really more of an arena with a man named Earthbreaker Groon, who is an old blind monk who's about to beat Grog into the dirt. I think it might have gotten some tough vibes for you there for a little bit, didn't it?
A little bit, yeah. There's some
I'll admit I'm not familiar with Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I know that's a big favorite of yours.
There was some Beifunginess there that I was really digging. I really hope they do more with that Groon character, because I really dug him. But, like, he did the one thing that drives me nuts. I know something you don't. What is it about you you don't know? I don't know. Well, you'll figure it out. It's like, you don't know shit. You don't know nothing. Stop messing with me.
Old wise master, share no knowledge.
Yeah.
But anyways, while Grog's off getting whooped, the rest of the gang is over at the Slayer's Take. We learn quickly that even though Vex and Vax have had previous run-ins with them, they weren't as good of terms as Vex led them to believe. Matter of fact, they're wanted with some hilarious wanted photos for basically stealing a Hydra kill and not bringing it back to Slayer's Take. See, the Slayer's Take, they're all about basically hunting the monsters around the area, and they perform it on a contract basis. So if you were noblemen outside of Vasselheim, and there's a Manicore bothering you, you hire the Slayer's Take to kill it. Or if you were a wizard, say in Amon, and you needed Basilisk Venom for a potion, you hire the Slayer's Take to acquire you said Basilisk Venom, and they would send it out to groups to hunt, collect the goods, and then fulfill the contracts. That was the purpose of them. So they're kind of like the monstrous bounty hunter guild that collects items and then sells them for reagents.
So I have a question. How many heads does a Hydra have?
Depends on the Hydra.
Okay, let's say the minimum amount that a Hydra
I would say a Hydra should at least have 2 heads.
So if they stole a head, why can't they just take the other head?
I don't know. Perhaps they took the whole kill.
Why pick a Hydra?
I don't know. I can't answer this question.
You stole the head
This was
of our kill.
new material, but while they're under duress, for lack of better words, from Kashaw and Zara, who were actually people who guest starred in Campaign 1, the patron of the Slayer's Take decides that she does in fact want audience with Vox Machina. So they drop him through a pit, much like they were visiting Jabba, and it's a rank, and he's feeding him to the Rancor, which I kind of liked. I thought that was very apropos.
Yeah.
And down there they meet the mysterious Osisa, who turns out to be a Sphinx. And you called that the first time we watched that.
No, I mean, I just, when she walked by the camera and I saw like the tail, I was like, Roxasha? And I was like, no, Roxashas don't usually move around like that. And I was like, maybe Sphinx. And all I said was, maybe a Sphinx. And you went, yes. And I was like, I got it?
Yeah.
Yay.
But, so Osisa, she, being all mysterious, very knowledgeable, references that they're basically, I think, the equivalent of Exandria's Ioun is who they worship. You know, goddess of knowledge in most Dungeons and Dragons-esque material. She kind of does a divide and conquer strategy on Vox Machina, kind of separates each of them and kind of attacks them to like their deepest fears. So she starts with the twins and claims that one only, can't live without the other, and the other is, broken because daddy didn't love her, attacks Pike's faith, attacks Keyless insecurities, and it's just utterly dismissive in the most burn-worthy fashion of poor Scanlan.
That shit was awesome. Like, every other character is so afraid of having their deepest, darkest fears laid out, and Scanlan's like, I know I do some dirty shit, and she's like, who gives a shit about you? And he was like, damn. Like, that part, glorious.
Oh, yeah. It was a burn of epic proportions, to say the least. And then Osisa is basically like, leave my presence. You're unworthy. And Pike gets the gusto and digs down deep and was like, you know what? No, we're staying. You're helping us. And Osisa's like, you'll die. And she's like, so be it if that's what it takes to try. She just wants to see that they try. And that gives, I I guess, the Sphinx enough information to be like, okay, you guys aren't just going to roll over at the first opportunity. You have somebody who has a backbone and conviction to see this through. So she tells them about the artifacts called the Vestiges of Divergence. And in Exandria, the gods had a calamity over 1,000 years ago where the Betrayer Guards were locked away into a different realm after a great brutal war. And during that war, artifacts of great power were given to humans that were called Vestiges of Divergence. They were basically imbued with divine power. And they are now kind of scattered and hidden or lost throughout Exandria. And some might be in some vaults, some are just hidden, and they are tasked with finding at least one right now, and it's called the Deathwalker's Ward.
Bum, bum, bum.
And it's nearby, and I think she even tells them it's belonged to the Matron of Ravens. And that's kind of where we are leaving off at that point. They do leave and meet back up with Grog, and pretty much that's where the episode kind of ends. So they have their next task of their journey, and we're on our way to episode 3 after that. But before we get to there, Lance, comments, thoughts? I know I kind of ran through that.
Oh no, you did. I mean, that it was very beat by beat on that. I've got to say again, Titmouse did a great job with the animation in this video.
Oh no, it was another great one.
It's beautiful to behold. The storyline's great. I know that you had to watch hours and hours of this stuff to like get a storyline from here to here, and now they're kind of shaping it into like 22, 23-minute videos.
Yes.
I have always had a problem with a lot of role-playing games where it's like the storyline did not feel epic. And to me, this storyline feels very, very epic. Like when the weight of what's on the line is on the player's shoulders, I feel that. And I feel for them. But my problem is they're a bunch of idiots.
That for certain.
But of course, with the power of friendship and trust, they'll get through it. Yeah, it's great storyline. I really didn't have anything to complain about so far. Like to me, this season has been off to a really good roll.
Yeah. All right. Did you have a particular character that stood out, or was it Earthbreaker? Osisa? Okay.
Osisa, I thought was great.
Yeah.
I thought her dialogue was great. I don't know who the voice actress was for her, but oh man, she had a great voice.
Yeah.
Earthmaker Grun, I fucking loved him. I thought he was fantastic. He does the old man wisdom thing. That guy was obviously a monk.
Yeah.
And just took Grog to task.
Oh yeah, it was great.
It was good.
Sometimes Grog needs to be taken down a peg.
Yeah, well, it's like I loved the part where it's like he basically sucker punched him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm ready, but let's see if you're ready for me when I rage." And then he basically gets knocked again. He's like, "Rage," and then he pulls the sword, and as he swings it, I thought it was great how Grun was commenting on the weapon and like grabbed it for it to bleed him a little bit. Then you see the blood run down and into Grog, and he gets that that high, that vampiric healing. I loved how they kind of shown that, how they illustrated that. Like that dude read the script.
Yeah.
Like he knows what's going on. And I think I know what the secret is. I think I know what Grog's power is. Because he's made the thing, you're trying to trick me. You're trying to make me think it's my strength or my rage, but it's my heart. And he's like, wrong. It's his friends. It's his party. That's what I'm going to guess. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm going to say your strength lies in your trust, your party. Because no one can do it alone. If you're ever in a campaign where one person has main character syndrome, get out of that party, or at least get that person out, because they ruin games.
Yeah. Main character syndrome. It sucks.
Yeah, it's bad, especially when one person thinks that the camera's constantly on them. Sorry. Anyways, yeah, it's stunning. Like it's absolutely stunning. The characters, great. I can't wait to see more.
Yeah.
And just I can't wait to see. It's too long, between seasons.
Yeah, no, but I mean they're putting the effort into the animation, and I think the good news is they're greenlit. I think kind of pretty much back to back, so the animation studio can immediately start working. So there's only been about a year, so I mean that's good. For me, going back to standout characters, I'm actually bringing up a character I forgot to mention in my brief rundown, and that would be Victor. And I'm going to bring up Victor. He was the black powder dealer. He's a bit of a comedic character. But I bring it up mainly because he brought up some very important information that I think is going to be very easy to overlook.
The girl that was in the city in the last campaign.
Yeah, in the season 1, he brings up Ripley's still out there and
that betrays
clearly
them.
doing something. Yes.
Yeah, that guy reminded me of King Boomy in Avatar. He totally reminded me of Boomy. And Matt, if you're watching this, and I know you are because, you know, you could confirm if that was like your inspiration for that character. But yeah, no, I would not have guessed you would have said him because he was in it ever so briefly.
No, but I mean, I think he sells the part really well, and then he's obviously, for a man who sells black powder, is very irresponsible with it.
Yeah,
I mean, look how that episode ended.
That's the one thing. Yeah, be careful, don't kill yourself. For a person, I have to hand it to Matt Mercer with his voices. Whenever I watch like Brennan Lee Mulligan or Matt Mercer, whenever they're doing voices, I love doing voices for my characters. You can ask her, every single character that we do at the table, I always have a voice for it because I'm stupid like that. And I just love doing voices. I get very self-conscious whenever I do it, and I'm in my own head. Those guys, I don't think there's a speck of that.
Yeah.
And I really respect that when you just basically throw it all out there, because they do fantastic voices and they do fantastic characterization.
Okay.
So I really got to give it to him. And you know, when he was in the booth, like recording that guy's voice, you know, don't go out there and get yourself blown up.
Hey, Lance, if you go look online, you can find pictures that Matt has already cosplayed his own NPC for a Halloween episode. So he really enjoyed playing Victor.
Okay. But yeah, that impresses me so much. People who can just like leave that ego behind and just push that out there.
Was there, you already kind of talked about your little favorite scenes already too. So, and for me, scene wise, I mean, I think, I don't know. I'm going to go for low-hanging fruit. I really like the bouncing butt.
Well, I thought that was the funniest line of the whole thing. Good thing his titties were here. And then like they're all smiling at him because he's standing between two butt cheeks. Yeah. Look like a little blue turd sitting between two big pink butt cheeks.
There's a lot of body humor in this.
Well, that's Scanlan's bit. Yeah. So.
Well, it's him and Scanlan and the whole cast. I mean, if you watch any of the campaigns, like Laura is like one of the dirtiest minded players at the table.
I believe it.
I mean, she had a character that literally would doodle dicks all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. It was not Vexalia, though.
Good on you. Yeah, it's the cast is lovable. I know that there's a lot of tropey shit. The big dumb barbarian, the over-sexualized bard. Like, I know that that's there. But, like, this is, like, one of their first campaigns. Mm-hmm. So... And I'm not saying that the people who are playing the characters are unoriginal or anything like that. A lot of times when you can kind of typecast yourself when you think of like certain things. You're like a bard. I want to be a spy bard. I want to be a rock star, you know, whatever. I'm not saying they typecast themselves, but like a lot of their characters are kind of tropey.
Yeah, no, and I mean, anybody who plays a tabletop RPG, I think your first several sessions, you're trying to figure out, well, who do I want to play? And you start reaching for a lot of times concepts or characters that you're familiar with, which leads yourself to kind of playing off of tropes. But as you get more experience and more comfortable, you can start breaking from tropes. I mean, I think I've played plenty of tropey characters, and so have you, Mr. I love my orc warriors. But, you know, eventually you start going, I want something different. And I think, you know, they get to there, but they pursue the characters even within the tropes very, very well.
I will definitely back that up. I don't like watching people play role-playing games just because it drives me nuts when the GM's like, hey, this and that and this, and you find this. And people are later like, what do we do here? And it's like, he gave you the thing. Like, it's in your possession. Like, I don't know if they're drawing it out for, like, extra content or anything like that, but it's like, it drives me nuts when, like, the MacGuffin is sitting in your possession, and people are like, oh, I'm not sure, and the GM has to basically milk it out of them.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of stuff drives me nuts when I'm listening to role-playing games. But this show is, in my opinion, very good. Mm-hmm. Naturally, they can pick and choose what they want to put in there for a more concise and even flowing story. I can't wait to see more.
Yeah. Okay. Again, like last time, I think you laid out some groundworks of where you thought the season was going. Do you have any additions, subtractions from now that you've seen episode 2?
It's going to be the standard thing of your party's powerful, but you're not powerful enough. So go out and get the things to beat the thing. Mm-hmm. I think with this particular episode, you had to introduce more characters. Now, let me ask you this. The 2 people they met at the
Slayer's Take?
Yes.
Kashaw and Zara?
Yes. Were those NPCs or were those people that were guest starring?
Those were guest players. Played Kashaw, who goes by Cash, was played by Will Friedle. And then Elizabeth Mary McGlynn, I probably butchered that. I do apologize.
Sorry.
She played Zara. Okay. And they were introduced earlier during the same arcs when they were still on Geek and Sundry, where they also had Will Wheaton and Felicia Day. They basically took the cast, split them into 2 groups, and brought in guest stars to fill out the rest of the party so that they, with other members of Geek and Sundry effectively, or friends. And so they ran these things, and this was their initiation into the Slayer's Take, because in the campaign, they joined the Slayer's Take Guild. In the show, it doesn't seem like they're going that route, at least not yet. But what they end up doing is... basically, these 2 characters, I believe Cash was with Keyleth and Vax, and I can't remember who else was with them, but they were on that, and they hunted a Rakshasa for the Slayer's Take. Meanwhile, Vex and Zara and Percy, and I can't remember who else was there. And I do apologize. Like I said, I've only watched the campaign once, but they went off after a white dragon, a younger white dragon, but they were off hunting a dragon, and they were all on this initiation with it. And then they basically went through and, completed their missions.
Right.
And so that's where those 2 characters were from. And I think they took them and kind of rewrote them for the show into roles that were basically for other NPCs that were in the game, but now they've turned them and made them kind of like the head of the guild or whatnot, because they had a head of the guild that was also a tiefling and like somebody else. And...
So I loved her character.
Oh no, Zara's great. I love Zara.
I thought she looked fantastic. I loved the line, "Oh, I see you're still filing your horns." Yeah. I loved her look. There's a thing that some people don't take in the games where your tail is prehensile, and they made it a point to have her pick up the cup with her tail. I thought that was great. Cash, it just seems like another kind of greedy douche that's kind of like very full of himself. But you need that character.
But I like that Cash is very uncomfortable with physical contact, apparently, because anytime anybody like...
You're very close.
Yeah, he's like, let's have a safety zone. I like my personal space. I like that about him.
Which is weird, because like he always walks up with Keyleth like, hey, how you doing? And
well, he flirted heavily with Keyleth in the campaign, so I'm not surprised about that.
Well, it just wouldn't surprise me with how he acts if she was like, hey, how you doing? And Keyleth's like, hey, and he's like, very, very close, very, very close.
Yeah.
We're flirting. We're not there yet.
Yeah. But okay, you were saying about them, if they were NPCs or not.
So I like that they're introducing those two. The reason I want to know if they were NPCs or not is like, will they make appearances in the future? So
if this follows, they should. That's about as much as I can say. If this follows, they should.
So tenuous friendships that could turn into long-lasting friendships, or basically just rivalries that come back up later.
Yes.
I like those seeds. I like that they planted those seeds in this episode, and I'm just I think they're going to come back to either bite them in the ass or help them in their time of need.
Yes.
So it's like you're either making allies or you're making enemies.
Okay.
So and I like that they had that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your continuation of your thoughts of where this is going. That there's seeds of things to come from that.
Other than like just paint by numbers, let's get the things to fight the thing.
Okay. Okay. No, that's fair. That's fair. I'm just making sure we covered all your bases.
Yeah.
Well, get down in those comments. Let us know if he's right or wrong. Again,
I'm not going to read them.
He's not going to read them, but I will. And I'll enjoy riffing with you if he is or not. But again, I ask just in case he sees an email, let's avoid spoilers of actual Critical Role Campaign 1. He's not seen it. I don't want to spoil him. I want to preserve some of these twists to come.
And I want to be clear. The reason I'm not reading the comments is I don't want the show spoiled. I made the comment to her that I was willing to go back and watch the campaign, and she's like, why don't you just go into it, unknowing, just so you could be surprised, which is the theory I now have with, like, movies made on books. I'll watch the movie first if I haven't read the book, and then I'll read the book. So if I enjoy the movie, then I can doubly enjoy the book. So that way I get to enjoy it twice, instead of reading the book and then bitching about the movie. So, but do you have anything that you would like to add about the episodes? Anything that stood out to you?
I mean, I like the way that they rip differently on the Slayer's take. I enjoyed that. I remember I looked at some of the various members assembled, and I wondered if there was some inspiration from some of the other people who were also participating in the Slayer Take initiation in the original campaigns, but I didn't see anyone who stood out, because I remember Wheaton played like a gruff dwarf, if I recall correctly, and Felicia Day was like very awkward human girl who was obsessed with some other man. So it was weird, but it was awkward, which is Felicia Day's kind of
that's her, that's
natural.
That's her sword and shield.
Yeah. So it worked well, though. They were fun characters in the campaign.
We love you, Will Wheaton and Felicia Day. Don't be mad at us.
But no, I think that was it. And again, I apologize if I don't remember all the people who were involved in every aspect of certain episodes of the actual campaign. When you watch it once and you got a 2-year-old, sometimes things start slipping through the cracks.
To be fair, we watched it again after we sent him to his grandmother's house.
No. I meant like not the show. I meant the campaign.
Oh,
season 1 campaign critical.
I can't speak on that because I haven't been watching him.
I think we're doing good on hitting the other part. But if you like what you saw here and you want to see more, please feel free to like, comment, review, and share.
Donate to the Patreon.
There's no Patreon.
There will be one day.
Not right now, though.
Give us money. Matt Mercer, blow us up. Like, make us famous, brah. Anyways, so with that,
I think that's it. That's a wrap.
Let's move on to the 3rd episode.
All right. We'll catch you later for The Legend of Vox Machina, Season 2, Episode 3. Bye.
I don't know what to do with my hands.